In Israel, at least 44 people have been killed and around 150 others injured in a stampede at a religious gathering attended by tens of thousands. It happened at Mount Meron in the northern part of the country, where ultra-Orthodox Jews were holding an all-night prayer and dance celebration.
Wrapped in ecstatic song and dance. Footage from social media shows the crowd at the annual Lag BaOmer celebration, shortly before disaster struck. At around 1 in the morning, eyewitnesses said they could feel a crush beginning to build. There was a terrible load, and what happened then was like a carousel. One person pushed another person, so everyone was pushed right and left. And after 20 minutes, people started suffocating, so they wanted to get out. But no one was able to get out. There were people under me who weren't breathing anymore. There were horrible screams of, "I can't breathe." And slowly there were also places where the screams had stopped. My legs were trapped. I couldn't move them. Face down, I could lift my head a little. I tried not to strain too much and keep calm. Strengthen my faith. God will save us. Mayhem unfolded. Rescue teams rushed to the scene, ferrying the injured to ambulances. Children separated from their parents were hoisted into the arms of emergency workers, desperately trying to reunite them with their families. Police closed off road access, and the military was called in to assist efforts to clear the area.
We just finished treating one of Israel's worst disasters. A terrible disaster of people who came to celebrate Lag BaOmer at Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and unfortunately were literally crushed to death.
Authorities say panic broke out on the steps in this narrow passageway after people slipped and fell, and those behind them stumbled. Many of the victims were either trampled or suffocated to death. It was the first large-scale religious gathering to be held legally since Israel lifted most coronavirus restrictions. But despite their successful handling of the pandemic, health authorities had warned against holding an event of this size. The Lag BaOmer religious festival is particularly popular with Israel's ultra-Orthodox community. Police report nearly 100,000 people attended the gathering, which they say is 4 to 5 times as many as should have been in a location like this.
Well, from Ramla, I'm joined now by Dov Meisel, whom you saw in that report. He's with the Volunteer Medical Services Association, United Hatzalah. Mr. Meisel, thanks for being with us. You've been at the scene of the stampede. Tell us, how could this happen?
Yes, it was a terrible night here. What started out as a festival of joy, happiness, and dance turned into Israel's worst tragedy. I think the simple answer to your question is having many, many people, thousands of people, in a very, very small perimeter, and simply overwhelming the capabilities of the little alleys in which you saw in the video people trying to leave this event.
This celebration that was taking place, it happens every year. What went wrong this time?
So I think this is something that every year we discuss in preparation as a risk that could happen because of the amount of people. What I think was different this year than every year was 2 main factors. Number one is it's the first major event, as you mentioned, to occur after lifting COVID restrictions, and people that have been locked away and not participating in any events, nor religious nor civilian events, for a year and a half, encourage them to want to go out and practice their religious beliefs and ceremonies. That's the one hand. And the second is the fact that it's on the weekend, and because they are Orthodox people, so they have to be back before sunset on Friday, so it all brings all the pressure down to this one very short period of time of Thursday night. I think the combination of both what might have been the major factors that led to the overwhelming of this small area.
Do you think this tragedy could have been prevented?
Possibly. My guess is it's obviously being investigated by the police, who are overseeing and in charge of these sort of events. We're more focused on the response mechanism, but I think that definitely this has been discussed before, and even Israeli media is talking about this and showing how in the past years many different agencies have highlighted the risk of having so many people. We're talking about 100,000 people on a 4-acre piece of land, which is very, very tight.
So perhaps there was just simply too many people for that amount of space. What are the biggest challenges being faced in the aftermath of this disaster now?
So I think, first of all, dealing with the immediate aftermath is bringing comfort to the families and closure and burial and treating the 150 people, adults, children, teenagers that have been injured in this disaster. And further moving on is looking at how to perform these future events in this place. It will not be able to be as it was anymore. As I mentioned, this really is an event on a historic level. I think it was already declared by the Prime Minister as the worst civilian disaster in Israel since its establishment.
Mr. Meisel, thank you very much for talking with us today. That was Dov Meisel, Vice President of Operations with United Hatzalah.
Thank you.